Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. And today we've got the infotainment and gauge screen breakdown on the 2023 Hyundai Ioniq 6 with its dual 12.3-inch screens. In this video, we're going to show you how this screen in front of you works here that operates kind of as your gauge cluster, if you will. We're going to show you how to pair up a phone to the center screen, use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. What else? Voice controls, change the clock, navigation, hopefully everything you'd want to know about your new Ioniq 6. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. One of the more affordable and the most energy efficient electric vehicle for sale, at least right now, the Hyundai Ioniq 6, this one being the SE model in rear-wheel drive. 18-inch wheels, giving this an EPA-claimed mixed driving range figure of just a hair over 360 miles. If you do want to see more on the car, check the link below. We've got a lot of coverage. I'm doing a range test tonight. We've got a sound system test. We've driven the more expensive limited model. All that will be linked below. Taking a look first up front here, we've got the gauge cluster screen. Looking on the left side, we have our speed displayed in digital readout. I like having digital speed there. Up on the top, you have a gear selector indicator as well as a posted speed limit sign. Little icons for what information screen you've got up in the center. We'll get back to that in a moment. And then on the right, you have your range figure right there. 345 miles left on this car as we've been driving it. That'll adapt a little bit to how your driving conditions have been using up your electricity. So if you're driving really quickly, not very efficiently, that range figure will generally adapt down to try to predict how far you can go in those current driving situations. And then as we're driving, this screen will push in that direction. There will be a little indicator showing you how much power you're using that way if you're using a lot, and then in the other direction as you're regenning. Now on the bottom right, we have our odometer, and then in the center you have your efficiency in miles per kilowatt hour. Past that, we have our outside temperature, and over on the left, we have our regen steps. Now right now I'm on level 3. If I press this, we'll get I-pedal max regen mode, and I can go on the right paddle all the way down to 0 regen, and then if I hold the right paddle, we get auto regen. I don't really love that. I love driving the car in one pedal mode, so I usually have I-pedal on max right there. And then we have our charge percentage over on the bottom left. I like how Hyundai gives you both the charge percentage there and then the range up here. It's not like a Tesla where you kind of get one or the other. Then in the center, we have our customizable information screen. You're going to control that with this these controls over on the left side of the wheel. You've got both a roller knob that allows you to go up and down and then press OK. And then this little pages icon, if you will, with this button, is going to cycle through the 4 different menus. Right now we are in the information screen, vehicle information, and we can use this scroller to get through between accumulated info since you've reset the trip meter, drive info since you've started the vehicle, and after recharging info. All 3 of these screens are going to show you how far you've traveled, how long you've traveled, and what sort of efficiency you've gotten over that time period. This after recharging and the accumulated info screen can both be reset by holding this button down. If we press that icon there, we get to a navigation screen. If we had an active navigation route going, this would show us our next turn, but right now it's just showing us a compass. Pressing this again, it gives us an information screen about the vehicle. We can see tire pressure, and I thought we'd be able to see more, but I guess that's it. Press it one more time, and we get a screen for the active driving assist. So if you've got your cruise control set, adaptive cruise control is going to show you information about which vehicles are around you and if your lane keeping is set. And then if you hold the OK button down from here, we get a settings screen, but not up here. It actually comes up in the center. So it's kind of confusing how there aren't the settings that look like they should come up here actually come up there. So we'll get back to those here in a moment. And that's all you've got for this center screen. Like I said, there's some customization available, but that's done in the center screen. So let's head on over to that. The equal size 12.3-inch infotainment screen here in the SE rear-wheel drive model of the Ioniq 6. Touchscreen only, and it is pretty far away, I will say. So I have to, if I'm just driving along here at 5'10" with my back against the seat, I cannot reach the screen. So you really have to lean forward. I don't like that about this. But if I press the home button, we're viewing our home screen here on the car. It kind of gives you a welcome screen, if you will, that shows you time and date and what media is playing, status of the car, your battery percentage and range, and then a little bit of a faded map over there with some weather up on the top. Sliding over gives you the start of your app screen. This all various applications here on the car, and then on the top you're getting a clock, date, some status about your connected phone, and a home screen button, and then a little menu icon as well, and the very top left, a user profile. Different profiles. They don't do a ton here in the Hyundais, but you do have different media favorites that can go from driver to driver if you have multiple drivers in the same household using the same vehicle. Let's start with our different apps. First one we're going to see here is the EV screen. This is going to allow EV nerds such as myself to really geek out about every electric vehicle setting and information screen that you can get. And I do like all the different functionality that Hyundai gives you. Also, you should see we're in the split screen setup right now. So we've got most of our information here on the left, but then a little bit of a map on the right. You can actually scroll through which information you're seeing on the right. So there's some weather, there's your calendar, compass, a big digital clock. But you can click that right there and just make this entire screen full screen. This is going to show you your nearest chargers as well as your range and your battery percentage. You can also, oh man, you got a lot of things going on here. You can set your scheduled charging and climate settings. So say you wanted the vehicle to have either heat or air conditioning set, so the cabin's at a certain temperature at a certain time. You can click down here and then set up a departure time. Say if I wanted to leave on Friday at 8 a.m., then I could go back and actually schedule the climate to be set at a certain temperature at that certain time. And also, if you want to schedule charging, so say you don't want the car to charge at on-peak times throughout the day, you can enable or disable that there. Down here, this is your V2L setting, vehicle to load. And this makes it so you can plug in a plug into the back of your Ioniq 6 and actually power a good amount of power off, like a wall-style outlet, off of the vehicle's battery. And you can choose if you want that to time out once the battery gets to a set percentage of charge right there. Down in the bottom right, you've got this gear icon. That's going to give you even more EV settings. These are important. If you want the maximum charge level for both DC charging and AC charging to be set at a certain amount, you do that there. If you're daily driving this car, I recommend setting the AC charger limit to maybe 80 or 90%, especially with this big range of this car, maybe just 80%. And then if you're going on a road trip or something, then you bump that up to 100. That's going to extend the total life of your electric vehicle's battery. AC charging current, this is a nice adjustment to be able to have. Say you're charging on maybe an older rental house or something like that, maybe just a wall-style outlet, and you don't want to be maxing out that outlet at the full maybe 1.2 or 1.5 kilowatts. You want to maybe go a little easier on the wiring. You can dial that down to 90 or even 60% to just get a little bit of a trickle charge in the car. I've done that before with our personal electric vehicles, charging at places where I just wanted to get some juice while I was plugged in, but I didn't want to be stressing the older wiring of the house too much. Battery conditioning mode maintains driving and fast charging performance by optimizing the battery temperature in cold winter temperatures. So in order to fast charge the Ioniq 6 as quickly as possible, the battery has to be warm enough. So if you're driving in cold winter sort of situations, you're coming to a fast charger, and you got it set up in the vehicle's navigation screen there, you're going to want to have this mode on so that the vehicle can artificially heat the battery. It's going to use more energy at first, but then it's going to be able to replenish energy faster once you get to the DC fast charger. Utility mode. This is nice if you want to be able to use the radio or interior lights for a really long time without having the vehicle on. Say if you're camping or just chilling in your car or something like that, you're going to want to have that on. Smart regen system. This is for your auto regeneration. If you have that auto set on there on the center screen for regen, it's going to adjust how strongly the vehicle decelerates. Charging connector locking mode. If you want the EV charger to be locked in there when you're charging or always, so that people can't come up and unplug the connector for you, that's nice to have. Charging voice prompts. I actually like this on the Hyundai vehicles. When you plug the car in, it's going to say something like "charging started." And for some people that might freak them out. You can turn that off. It's nice to have the customization there, but I like to be able to have that on and low. And plug and charge. This is something we're seeing more and more electric vehicles have. If you want to be able to use like Electrify America chargers and just plug this in and have it set up and immediately start charging the vehicle and just charge your credit card, then you can set that up right there. What else do we have in the EV vehicle screen? Oh, this is kind of a neat functionality. If we're in the EV screen here and we press this icon up in the top left, then it gives you a little screen on how far you could drive on the map based on your current charge level. So we zoom in just a little bit enough, you can see we could make it all the way from in Orange County, California here, out past Phoenix, Arizona on this certain charge. That's pretty clever. Staying in this EV screen, we have a few more things you might be interested in. If you click up here in this menu icon, you can go to energy information, and that's actually going to show you some pretty nifty screens. Again, I like that Hyundai and Kia give us this sort of information. I wish vehicles like Toyota would give us this detailed info about our cars here, but this is a nice screen. This shows you how long it's going to take to charge your vehicle back up to a set amount, say right now 100%, based on 4 different voltage setups. 120 volts, so you like your standard house outlet, 240, 400 at a fast charger, or 800 volts at a fast charger. So you can see it would take us an entire hour right now just to charge up that last 2% from a 120, but it would only take us 4 minutes on a 400 and 9 minutes from a 240. And you can actually change that too, to maybe if we're at 50% charge, we could see how long it would take us to get to 80. It's nice detailed information there. And then this electrical use, this isn't really showing us much right now, but on this short drive that I took up here to film, we used 84% of the power for the drivetrain, and so far about 16% from electronics, and it actively shows us right now how much we're using. So right now the electronics just running in the vehicle are using about 0.2 kilowatts. Let's see if I dim the screens down. Does that go down? Not really anything appreciable, but if we were driving, it would show how much is being used by the drivetrain. Look, if I hit auto for the climate, then all of a sudden we see climate right there. And if I were to turn on, maybe, let's see, if I were to dial the temp down a lot and kick on the air conditioner, how much it'll... Yeah, look at that. It's building up. It's building up. So let's kill that. Again, nice to see that detailed information. And then lastly, a little EV economy history. So all of our different drives and different days, how efficient we were on each day. A lot of detailed nerd information there. Even more settings up here in the EV screen. We go to charging station list. This is going to show you a list of all of the nearest electric vehicle charging stations. Now, this software still isn't as robust as something like you get in the Tesla, and a lot of these stations, I mean, they could be restricted. You don't really know how much they're going to charge you, but it does try to do a decent job at saying which ones are online. So like you see, this one is out of use, but all these other ones should be good to go. Even changes based on if they're being used or not. And I believe you can filter out by how fast they are right up here in this filter screen. Like, I don't want to see anything below 150 kilowatts. That didn't work, did it? It's still showing us the 6. Maybe that's because there aren't any close by. Oh, there we go. All right, so the nearest 350 kilowatt charger is 1.5 miles away, and it looks like it should be open. And then there are some other ones around. We could set our navigation to them. It'll give us a route. It's nice to have those built right, and you can also set favorites down there as well. Heading back, we have some EV-specific settings, and we already saw those. Okay, so that is all of the EV-specific stuff here on the Ioniq 6. Again, a lot of really useful info and just good functionality there, like that. Moving on in our app screen, we have a map. Today's mapping is okay. Admittedly, I'm going to pretty much always be using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but if you'd like to have a built-in navigation, you can do it. You can pinch and zoom. I don't see any live traffic readouts. I don't know. Let's see if we have any options for that here in our navigation menu. No, not seeing any traffic. So it's pretty basic, but it is nice to have as just a map. Sometimes, like a lot of these built-in cars, I just set it to north up like this, and then if I'm just driving around, it's nice to have some sort of map nearby. But if I'm doing navigation, I typically use my phone mirrored onto the screen. Moving over to phone, this is going to give you different settings for your phone. You can use the dialer. You can view your contacts, scroll through like that. You can see your recent calls. And you can even see text messages. Continuing on, phone projection. We will get to that here in a little while. Voice memo. You can save voice memos in the car. Say if you're driving along and you think of something particularly funny, you want to remember it, you can record those right there. Climate. This is going to give you a direct input to the climate screen. You can also access it via the climate menu down here in the climate controls. It gives you a more detailed ability to set the temperature, set the fan speed, synchronize, show where you want to be getting the air sent, and something I do appreciate, being able to manually turn on and off heat or air conditioning, because this being an electric vehicle, sometimes you just want to vent in some fresh air without toggling on the heater or the air conditioning unit and using up more charge. So it's nice to be able to control that there. Warmer is a specific menu just for your seat warmer. If you had cooled seats, this would probably be in there as well, so you can turn your driver and passenger heated seats on. Valet mode. If you have a if you have Hyundai BlueLink set up, you can have a valet mode set up so valets can only use your vehicles at certain speeds and only access certain functionality. Hyundai Pay, same thing. If you have the BlueLink set up, you can pay for certain things right through there. I'm not super familiar with using Hyundai Pay, admittedly. Quiet mode, this is kind of nice. Provides sound only to the front seats. If volume exceeds the factory set quiet level, it is lowered. That's nice to have if you have maybe a child sleeping in the back. Turn that mode on. We're going to skip setup for now and come back to it here momentarily. Quick screens for getting to your radio and media. You can also get to that functionality via the physical buttons below. But under radio, you have Sirius XM, AM, and FM functionality. And under media, you've got your Bluetooth, USB, sounds of nature, and phone projection if you have it plugged in. HD radio data. This is going to give you some traffic and radar information. Nice to have that provided to you there. BlueLink. This is how you're going to set up your Hyundai BlueLink information with your car. That's going to allow you to view functionality, start the vehicle, set climate, etc. from your phone application. Notifications. If you have any notifications from the system, you're going to view those there. And lastly, the user's manual. So this is going to pretty much just give you a QR code to be able to bring up your vehicle's user manual on your phone. You can also access it physically from the manual in the glove box. Okay, let's dive into some of the setup right now. We're not going to go through every nitty-gritty detail of the vehicle's settings screen, but we'll go through some of the more important ones. From this setup screen, you can quickly turn the display off. This is definitely nice if you're driving along at night, want a little bit less light blasting you in the eyes. You can turn that off there and then tap the screen to bring it back to life. Under vehicle, these are these vehicle settings that we saw from the center screen as well. Driving assistance, you can turn on and off a lot of the different active safety features, parking settings, things like that from this vehicle screen. Drive modes, you have a few different drive modes here in the Ioniq 6. You have a customizable drive mode where you can customize the power output, acceleration sensitivity, and steering weight. Nice to have those customizations there. And then also snow, it's going to dial things back, try to optimize traction for winter driving. You can also adjust the brake modes. Do you want the brakes to be a little bit more sporty feeling and maybe grab a little bit quicker? You can adjust that there. Some settings for the gauge cluster. You can change the illumination brightness right here, which you can also do physically from the left side of the wheel on a physical screen or physical button. A blue light filter, so you can have the this gauge screen be warmer here. I actually quite like that. It's going to be a little bit easier on your eyes driving at night. You can have that do that automatically based on the surrounding brightness of the vehicle or set up for certain times. You can also have different themes for the gauge cluster. So right now we've got theme A. Here's also theme B and theme C. A little fun there. You can choose your preference. You can also turn on and off the welcome sound when you start and stop the vehicle. Under climate, a few different options there for automatic ventilation and recirculation. Lights, when you tap the turn signal like that, do you want it to flash 3 times, 5 times, 7 times, or no times? Some welcome lighting, so as you walk up to the vehicle with the key in your pocket, do you want the lights to come onto the vehicle? And also you can turn on or off your high beam assist, so it's going to kind of dim the lights around approaching vehicles. That's pretty nice to have there. I would probably keep that on. Some door settings. Do you want the doors to automatically lock as you speed up in the vehicle? And do you want them to automatically unlock when you shut the vehicle off? And same thing, do you want the vehicle to automatically unlock as you walk up to it? Pop these door handles out for you. Some adjustments for the trunk. Do you want the trunk lid to automatically open when you're approaching it with the smart key? Some people might want that so that the trunk opens right up for them. Also remote window control, so it makes it so that you can use the key fob to open the windows remotely. Some convenience settings. Do you want the vehicle to alert you if something may have been left in the back seat, perhaps an item or a person? That's probably going to be on by default. Heading back under the setup screen, we've seen all the different EV settings. We're going to go back from there. Some navigation settings. This is where you're going to find settings for toll roads or different navigational preferences. If you do plan on using the Ioniq 6's built-in navigation, I recommend you go through those settings. Sound settings, this is where you're going to adjust your treble, mid-range, and bass and other noise levels in the vehicle here, including noise reduction. Heading back, our device connection screen, you'll see this as we connect another device later for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This is where you're going to access the vehicles, or the different devices that are connected. User profile settings, if you want to add a new profile, you're going to get to that there. Voice recognition settings. Do you want to reduce the number of voice recognition prompts? So if you're using the built-in voice prompts, which we're going to see here in a moment, if you want those to go a little bit faster, you can choose that option. Screen theme and layout. You can choose between black, which it's on now, white, which is going to look like that, much brighter on the eyes. Some people are going to choose to have it on automatic, so as it gets darker outside, then it goes to a black theme automatically. But I prefer to just have it easier on the eyes all the time and choose the black screen theme. Same thing, you've got your gauge cluster screen theme settings right there. A screen saver. So when you turn the display off, do you want it to show a clock like that? Or do you want the screen to just be totally off like that? You can also do an analog clock. And then the split screen setup, so you can choose the different menus that are scrollable in that split screen layout there. Under your display settings, again, you can change the brightness of the screen, and we actually saw all these already, the blue light filter, etc. The button settings, this is important to know. There's a little star button down here and a star button on the steering wheel right here. You can change what those star buttons do. A little customization there, I like to have that. Over in the general settings, some software information, some date and time information. If you want to manually set your date and time, you can do that there. Change some different languages. We have English, Spanish, French, and what I assume is Korean. Again, the ability to adjust some units between miles and kilometers, Fahrenheit, Celsius, PSI, kPa, and bar, and a reset screen. So you can reset everything in the screen right there if you want to get back to a baseline setup. Okay, that's the important settings right there for your Ioniq 6. So let's get into trying some of the voice commands. To activate the voice commands in the Ioniq 6, you press this button here. Navigate to the nearest Starbucks.
Please say the line number of the location you want to go to.
1.
Would you like guidance to this location?
Yes. There, you see, pretty easy to activate the navigation via your voice. Cancel navigation.
Route canceled.
What's the weather like tomorrow?
There will be partly sunny skies with a high of 66 degrees and a low of 49 degrees in Lake Forest tomorrow.
Tell me a joke.
Sorry, I didn't hear that clearly.
Okay, so just pretty basic functionality there. Definitely nice to have that baked in. Now let's show you how to pair up an iPhone. We've got our iPhone SE3 right here. I'm going to fire it up, head to the settings screen, and then click Bluetooth. And in the Ioniq 6, I am going to go home, go to phone, not phone projection, let's go to setup and device connections again, and add new. And I see Ioniq 6 popped up on my phone. I click that. And pair on the device. I see a pass key popping up on the Ioniq 6's screen. press allow on anything that pops up on my phone. And now I have a Bluetooth connection to my iPhone on the car. But again, that's not going to give me Apple CarPlay. That's just going to allow me to make calls, play media through here, and see my phone under the phone screen connected to the car here. But in order to use Apple CarPlay, I do need to use a cable. The other option is to purchase something like this. This is a wireless CarPlay and Android Auto box. This one specifically is from One Car Stereo. I've got a few of these linked below. I've used a few different ones, but you can plug this in and then pair your phone up to this and then actually have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. That's very important to me for these type of vehicles, but if you're someone who doesn't mind using a cable, then you can just do that as well. Very easy to pair up CarPlay. Simply plug in the device. You can even do this while moving. Plug it in, press OK, and allow everything on both devices. And there we see Apple CarPlay as an icon. Click that. And there it is, taking up the whole screen. Not the highest resolution, but pretty good refresh rate there. Looking nice. This is what your home screen's going to look like. Navigation coming up there. If we bring up Google Maps, again, good refresh, easy to drag around, no pinch and zoom functionality on the iPhone. Let's take a look at YouTube Music. Let's hit our super mix, see what the iPhone's given us today. Some T-Pain, Booty Work. Nice. That's what it's going to look like with some now playing in the bottom right and the mapping up on the left. And in order to get back to the home screen in the Ioniq 6, you have to press your apps and then click Hyundai, and then you're back to the main Hyundai menu. Now let's take a look at Android Auto. And there we go, again, taking up the whole screen. Head to the home screen menu and see the split screen layout, getting your music on the right and your navigation on the left. If we bring up our Google Maps, we can pinch to zoom with the iPhone and drag around. Decent refresh rate for Android Auto as well. Let's shuffle all on YouTube Music and see what we're getting under the iPhone. Some Nicki Minaj. Okay. There's your split screen layout. And again, in order to get back to the Hyundai's home screen, press your apps and then click Hyundai. So there it is, the 12.3-inch infotainment display in the Ioniq 6. Perhaps not the most advanced, but for the price point, it is proper, and despite being far away, I like how it works, and I overall like the functionality. Just need to get wireless CarPlay and Android Auto in there. So what else do you need to know? Did I miss anything? You got any questions? Let me know in the comments below, and I will try to answer it. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.